Hello everybody, this is Nalnikant Jena, Senior Lecturer in Physics, Bhubaneswar Mahavidyalaya. Our today's topic is rotating frame and Coriolis force. In our previous class, we have already discussed about frame of reference and what are the different types of frames of reference. Let us have a review on the topic. What is frame of reference? It is the chosen coordinate system whose origin is taken as the reference point, and there are two different types of frames of references. The number one is the inertial frame and the number two is the non-inertial frame. Then question arises, what is inertial frame and what is non-inertial frame? Inertial frame, as the name signifies, inertial frame comes from the word inertia. That means the frame which is either at rest or moves uniformly linearly is known as inertial frame. That means the frame of a reference whose acceleration is 0 is known as inertial frame of reference, and the frame of a reference whose acceleration is not 0, that means the accelerated frame of reference is known as non-inertial frame of reference. Now, under what condition a frame of reference becomes non-inertial? That means if there exists an acceleration of the frame of reference, then the frame of reference will be non-inertial. And under what condition it will become non-inertial? That means if its velocity changes or if it rotates. So, a frame of reference which is rotating can be considered to be non-inertial frame. And also if the frame of reference moves with a changing velocity linearly, then this frame of reference will be termed as a non-inertial frame of reference. Now, our topic is rotating frame. So, this rotating frame is a non-inertial frame, and previously we have considered that when a body moves uniformly in rotational motion, that means in a circular motion with uniform speed, then the force that exists or that acts on the body in such type of uniform circular motion is known as centripetal force. And if we consider the case of a body rotating non-uniformly, then in that case, in addition to centripetal force, another force exists, which force is nothing but a pseudo force, imaginary force or fictitious force, and that fictitious force is known as your centrifugal force. So, when the body moves in non-uniformly in rotational motion, then in addition to centripetal force, centrifugal force exists, which is along the opposite direction of centripetal force. As the centripetal force acts along the radius towards the center of the moving body or rotating body, hence the direction of centrifugal force will be away from the center, that is towards the outward motion. So, in a rotating frame, if it is rotating with non-uniform velocity, then that pseudo force there exists, and in some cases this pseudo force along with the centrifugal force is known as the Coriolis force. So, today's topic is we have to first consider the motion of a body along a rotating frame, and we have to derive the expression for the Coriolis force, and we have to discuss the various probable cases and the different applications of Coriolis force. Let us first consider the motion of a body in a rotating frame. Now, often the question is asked like this: what is Coriolis force? Derive an expression for the Coriolis force. Number C, under what condition does it come into play? And the fourth question is, find the horizontal and vertical component Coriolis force. Okay. Our topic is, first we have to know what is Coriolis force, then we have to derive the expression for Coriolis force, and we have to mention the condition under which this force comes into play, and finally we have to find out the horizontal and vertical components of Coriolis force. So, the first question is, what is Coriolis force? Coriolis force is a fictitious force, is an imaginary force, is a pseudo force which acts on a body when the body is in non-uniform rotational motion. Coriolis force is an imaginary force which acts when a body is in non-uniform rotational motion, and the expression for this Coriolis force can be expressed as, first of all, what is Coriolis force? It is the force, it is the imaginary force which acts on a body when the body is in a rotating frame. That means, when the body is in a rotating frame, then the imaginary force acting on the body is Coriolis force. So, the expression for Coriolis force is the mathematical expression for Coriolis force is F C. C stands for Coriolis, is equal to minus 2 m omega cross V. Let this as V dash. This is the expression for the Coriolis force, and we have to derive this, where m is equal to mass of the body, omega is equal to angular velocity of the body, and v dash is equal to linear velocity of the body, with respect to the rotating frame. Here Fc, the Coriolis force, is equal to minus 2m omega cross v dash. M stands for the mass of the body, omega stands for the angular velocity of the body, and v dash is the linear velocity of the body with respect to the rotating frame. Now, if omega is equal to 0, then Fc is equal to 0. That is, no Coriolis force will act on the body if the body is not rotating. That means, if the body is not in the rotating frame, if there is linear motion of the body, then there will be no Coriolis force. And secondly, if v is equal to 0, the velocity of the body with respect to the rotating frame is 0. That means, the frame is rotating, but the body is not in motion, but the body is at rest with respect to the rotating frame. Then also Fc is equal to 0. That means, if a body is at rest in the rotating frame, then no Coriolis force will act on it. And similarly, we can conclude the number one point is no Coriolis force will act on the body if the frame is not rotating. Number 2, no Coriolis force will act on the body if the body is at rest in the rotating frame. And since the Coriolis force is the cross product of omega vector and v dash vector, hence the direction of a Coriolis force will be perpendicular to the plane containing omega vector and v dash vector, because in our knowledge from the vector analysis we know that if a vector and a v vector are two vectors, then the cross product of a vector and b vector will be along a direction perpendicular to the plane containing the two vectors. That is why here also we can conclude that the direction of Coriolis force is always perpendicular to the plane containing omega vector and v dash vector. That is, the direction of Coriolis force is also perpendicular to the omega vector and also perpendicular to the v dash vector. And there is a negative sign in the expression for Coriolis force, and this negative sign indicates that the direction of a Coriolis force is always opposite to the direction of omega vector cross v vector, because we know that a vector cross b vector is equal to minus b vector cross a vector. That means cross product is not commutative but anti-commutative. That is why a vector cross b vector is equal to minus b vector cross a vector, and here we have minus of omega vector cross v dash vector. That is why the direction of Coriolis force is always opposite to the direction of omega vector cross v dash vector. Since there is a negative sign in the expression for Coriolis force, hence the direction of a Coriolis force is always opposite to the direction of omega vector cross b vector. That means the direction of Coriolis force is opposite to the direction of omega vector cross v dash vector, and this Coriolis force can be expressed as also Fc is equal to minus 2 m omega v dash sin theta n cap, which implies Fc is equal to minus 2 m omega v dash sin theta, where theta is equal to angle between omega vector and v dash vector. This is all about Coriolis force, but our task is to define Coriolis force first, then we have to derive the expression for Coriolis force. Now we have discussed and defined Coriolis force, and now we have to derive the expression for Coriolis force. Let us derive the expression for Coriolis force. Derivation of Coriolis force. To derive Coriolis force, let us consider two frames of reference, out of which one is the inertial frame and the other one is a non-inertial frame, which is a rotating frame of reference. Okay? To derive the Coriolis force, we have to consider two frames of references. One is inertial and the second one is non-inertial, and the non-inertial one is the rotating one. To derive an expression for the Coriolis force, let us consider two frames of references out of which one is inertial and the other is non-inertial. That is rotating. So, let S frame having coordinates xi, yi and zi is equal to inertial frame and S dash frame having coordinates xi dash, yi dash, zi dash, or let us write this as XR, R stands for rotating, also dash stands for non-inertial, XR, YR, ZR is equal to non-inertial frame or rotating frame. Let O is equal to origin of the two frames such that initially both the frames are coinciding with each other, having one origin, but the non-inertial frame rotates about the z axis of the inertial frame. And the position vector of a point with respect to both the frames will be r vector is equal to r I vector and is equal to r r vector, where this I stands for inertial frame and r stands for rotating frame, so that the position vector of the point with respect to all the frames, all the two frames are same. That is, the position vector of a point with respect to the two frames is the same. And if omega is equal to angular velocity of the rotating frame with respect to the inertial frame, then the velocity of a particle with respect to the rotating frame will be minus omega cross r. If dri by dt is equal to vi equal to velocity of the particle with respect to the inertial frame, and drr by dt is equal to Vr is equal to velocity of the particle in the rotating frame then drr by dt is equal to dri by dt minus omega cross r, which implies Vr is equal to Vi minus omega cross r, implies Vi is equal to Vr plus omega cross r. Let this is termed as equation 1. Now, let us differentiate this equation with respect to t. Differentiating above equation 1 with respect to time, we can write dvi by dt is equal to dvr by dt plus d by dt of omega cross r. And since this is the product of omega and r, hence its derivative can be written as d Vr by dt plus d omega by dt cross R plus omega cross dr by dt. But we know that V I is equal to V R plus omega cross R, and this V R is equal to, and this can be written as V I is equal to V R plus omega R, and now rewriting this we get d by dt of V I, and in place of V I you can write V R plus omega cross R and plus omega cross V I, as this factor tends to 0, as omega is a constant, and this can be written as d V R by dt plus d omega by dt cross R plus omega cross dr by dt plus omega cross Vr plus omega cross R. So, this can be written as, which implies this is a acceleration I, that is acceleration of the body in the inertial frame, which is equal to, this one is a R, acceleration of the body in the rotating frame, plus d omega by dt cross R, and here d omega by dt cross R plus this one is omega cross V plus omega cross Vr plus omega cross R, which implies AI is equal to AR plus 2 omega cross VR plus d omega by dt cross R plus omega cross R. This is the equation 2. This equation gives the relation between the acceleration in the inertial frame and the acceleration in the rotating frame, where AI represents the acceleration of the body with respect to the inertial frame, and AR represents the acceleration of the rotating body with respect to the rotating frame or the non-inertial frame. But from the beginning we have considered that the angular velocity of the body is constant, that is omega is equal to constant. If omega is constant, then its differentiation with respect to time will be 0. That means, but the angular velocity is constant, that is omega is equal to constant, which implies d omega by dt equal to 0. So, now putting the value of d omega by dt equal to 0 in this equation, we can get the new expression with this term to be vanished. That is why, so above equation 2 becomes as what? AI is equal to AR plus 2 omega cross VR plus this term vanishes, omega cross R. This is termed as equation 3. If m is equal to mass of the body, then by multiplying m with equation 3 we get, then by multiplying m in equation 3 we get m AI is equal to m AR plus 2m omega cross VR plus m omega cross R. But from Newton's second law of motion we know that the product of mass and acceleration is nothing but the force. Here the product of mass and acceleration in the inertial frame will be the force acting on the body due to the inertial frame. Similarly, this m multiplied with AR, that is the acceleration of the rotating frame, will give the force acting on the particle with respect to the rotating frame. So, we can write here Fi is equal to Fr plus 2m omega cross Vr plus m omega cross R. Where Fi is equal to force on the particle due to the inertial frame and Fr is equal to force on the particle due to the non-inertial frame. Now, we can write this equation as but Fi is equal to Fr plus F0. Now, comparing these two equations, we get, comparing equations 5 and 4, we get F0 is equal to 2m omega cross Vr plus m omega cross cross r. This is equation 6. But F0 can be written as Fc plus Fce, where Fc is equal to Coriolis force and Fce is equal to centrifugal force. So, comparing equation 6 and 7, now comparing equations 6 and 7, we get, now comparing equation 6 and 7, we get Fc is equal to 2m omega cross Vr and Fce is equal to m omega cross r. Here once again I am rectifying, Fr is equal to Fi minus F0. So, F0 will be minus of this and minus of this, and comparing this we get minus of this and minus of this, where Fc represents the Coriolis force. So, Coriolis force is equal to Fc is equal to minus 2m omega cross Vr. So, our task was to derive the expression for the Coriolis force, and here we have derived the expression for the Coriolis force. Let us have a discussion of this Coriolis force. Actually, our aim is to know what is Coriolis force and how it can be derived. So, in defining Coriolis force, what we have discussed, Coriolis force is the imaginary force which acts on a body in a rotating frame. That means, if a body is present in a rotating frame, then in addition to its forces acting on it, an additional force will act on it, which is the Coriolis force. And the expression for Coriolis force is minus 2m omega cross Vr, where Vr represents the velocity of the body with respect to the rotating frame. And to derive this expression, what we have done? We have considered a point where the particle exists, and we considered two frames of references. One is the inertial and the other one is rotating, that is the non-inertial frame. And we have, applying the vector addition rule, we expressed the position vector of the particle with respect to both the frames, and we found that the velocity of the particle with respect to the two frames will be how much? That is Vi will be equal to Vr plus omega vector cross r vector. And by differentiating this expression with respect to time, we can write dVi by dt with respect to the I frame, inertial frame, is equal to dvi by dt with respect to the rotating frame plus omega cross vi. Now, putting the value of vi, which is equal to vr plus omega cross r, we arrived at the condition that the force acting on the particle with respect to the inertial frame is equal to the sum of two forces. One is due to the rotating frame and other one is the extra force, which is the sum of two negative terms, out of which one negative term represents the Coriolis force and the other one represents the centrifugal force, because all these two terms are imaginary or fictitious. That is why Coriolis force is the fictitious force acting on a particle or body in a rotating frame. Okay. Here we discussed what is Coriolis force and the derivation for Coriolis force, and our task remained to find out the horizontal and vertical components of a Coriolis force and the effect of rotation of earth on a body on it and the applications of Coriolis force. Here I am ending the topic and we will discuss in the next one. Many thanks.